Hello and welcome back to Dreamwalker Tarot. My name is Dawn, and this is the December reading for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Mars. Please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for post notifications. So this month I'm working with the Sibyl's Oracle of the Black Doves of Africa. It is a little bit different than traditional tarot in the way that it operates. I want to say that it actually focuses more on the inner dimension, and not like the outer aspects or the outer manifestations as tarot might. So it deals with what's going on the inside, and this is really a good opportunity for you this month to kind of reflect on the year and where you're at and the spaces that you're in on an emotional level, and how you can work through some of the issues that you might be having. The way that the deck is structured is 4 cards. So we have what is called a core card, which is a card that kind of talks about the main issue that is occurring at this time. And then there is the projection card, which is the card that talks about what rationalizations and justifications that you might have to kind of block out what's happening in the core issue. So it's the things that you tell yourself, the lies that you tell yourself, and so to speak, to kind of like justify why you're not seeing what the core issue is. And then we have the 2 action cards, which are on the bottom, and that is the cool action, which is kind of like the things that you need to think about or the things that you need to do on an intellectual level first, to think about before you actually do what's considered the hot action, which is the other action card. And that's like the actual physical activity that needs to happen to kind of support a little bit of change or progression in your life. So let's get into this. With that in mind, we're going to look at the cards that came out. So the card that came out in the core issue for you this month, Aries, is Unity. The card that came out as the projection is the Contentment card. And the cool action is Submission. And the hot action is Nurturing. So the Unity card is basically talking about the ability to unify with other people and live and coexist in a sense, in a space of of unity, right? But it's talking about the conceptions and of what we might have. And so a lot of times when we think about unity, when we think about being together and kind of like working out, with working with other people, we think about relationships, and that is not necessarily limited to personal relationships or romantic relationships, but just the level of relationships that we have with everyone. What are the biases that we have that keep us from getting along with other people, the ingrained things that we think about other people based on our own personal experiences or based on things that we might have heard or seen happen with other people that don't allow us to come into a space of togetherness with other people. And with the Contentment card that came out in the projection space, this is an element of just being comfortable with our biases and being comfortable with the way that we view other people that keep us at a distance from other people and keep us from not being able to get along with other people. So I'm going to read what the book says. It says that everything that exists is about an expression of a greater reality. There's nothing outside of the universe, therefore, everything is by its very nature unified. Taking this basic precept further, we know by deduction that that all is absolutely necessary to make this thing work. Everyone and everything is a soulmate. We need to understand the essence of what a soulmate is in the most basic sense rather than compartmentalizing it into the realm of romance. The heart of unity is also not a superficially kumbaya feeling towards others so much as it is an observation and an acceptance of a responsibility to others. To put it simply, if we have accepted our interconnection and interdependence with everything else in existence, then we must examine our negative beliefs about other people and beings, the people and beings whom we obviously need, or they would not exist in the same space and time with us. For example, there are people who hate certain animal species so much that they wish that they did not exist. They don't realize the important function of that particular species in the grand scheme of things, and that if they got their wish, it might cause them discomfort at best or total annihilation at worst. Now, that doesn't mean that they should suddenly run out and buy a t-shirt with the image of the creature on it or adopt one as a pet, but it might be wise to find out how the animal contributes to the function of the whole. It is very difficult to continue to despise, wish away, or harm what we know to be ultimately beneficial. It is when we don't see the value in others that inharmonious thoughts occur and suffering ensues for the despiser and the despised. Until the individual can see and feel the bigger picture, they will continue to have a laundry list of things, people, and groups they can't stand, not realizing that their extremely negative reaction is a complete metaphor for an aspect of their own nature that the despised merely represent. When the essential idea of unity is integrated into the consciousness, vain thoughts to annihilate perceived aliens and inferiors in thought, word, or deed are removed simply because we would not want to be similarly classified based on another being's limited perception of who, what, or why they think we are. On the other hand, when we feel a strong positive connection to someone or something, we are elated because they somehow remind us of characteristics we either like in ourselves or want for ourselves. No matter what we perceive to be external to ourselves, everything is filtered according to only one point of view, the one that you have chosen. It is based on this fact that wisdom teachers from many cultures ask people not to negatively judge others. If you make it a practice or daily practice to search for commonalities when you see something or someone who is disagreeable to your personality, you will be rewarded with greater capacity to feel compassion toward all aspects of yourself. That's actually really beautiful. So this is really asking us to really open up ourselves to look at other people outside of the biases that we might have, and when we actually hate someone, it's like we're hating an aspect of ourselves, and that is actually what's being projected back to us. So I'm curious to see what the projection card says, but as far as I see, contentment is really a state of being okay with these internal biases that we have, and being okay with looking at particular groups or certain people from a negative aspects based on what we think that we know about them, without giving the opportunity to really get to learn who they are. Because at the end, it's like we are disliking aspects of ourselves that we're seeing mirrored back to us. And so again, the projection card is basically just the rationalizations that we have in our mind that prevent us from seeing what the core issue actually is. It's like the cover that we put over the truth, or the mask that we place and the excuses that we place over the truth, that if that is not worked out, or if it's not removed, then it might cause unnecessary internal suffering and external hardships. So the contentment card is basically saying that it is to be truly happy, you must learn the art of being completely honest with ourselves. That we must learn the art of being completely honest with ourselves. If you feel something is not right and we repeatedly try to convince ourselves otherwise, then mediocrity is all that we can ever hope to achieve. Perhaps we harbor soul-stunting beliefs such as we can't have it all and don't rock the boat, or we would rather be safe than sorry. But if you reflect on these axioms, it will not take long to see how disempowering they really are. By pretending to be content, you not only betray yourself, but also set in motion all the negative effects that you would experience if you had betrayed another person. Lying to yourself only increases the number of things for you to lie to yourself about and ensures anger, remorse, and shame. Beware the diminishing theories that promote the idea that there is nobility in lack. This is untrue for all, but a very small number of ascetics in the world. However, even ascetics have made a choice to experience lack, so they are not suffering, as the choice to do what without was not made in the spirit of settling or giving up. If you are not satisfied with an aspect of your life, do not allow the ego to convince you to play the martyr. There is no greater cause than your development. Don't fear being wrong, fear being afraid. And if you pick this card in a reading, you are choosing to smile on the outside while you suffer silently on the inside. You're being warned to take the necessary steps to change the situation or risk missing out on rich opportunities and untold adventures. If you refuse to heed, one day you will feel the anger, remorse, and or shame that all betrayers must ultimately feel, but you will have no one to blame but yourself. And so really, the combination of the unity card and the contentment card is really a call to find balance, to find completion within yourself, right? And to be able to look at the aspects of yourself that you don't like, that are being reflected back to you in relationships with other people that you kind of write off, like, and really just kind of look at that and be honest with yourself about who you are, the things that you are not happy with, the shame, and things that you, and remorseful things that you feel that you carry within, and try to kind of work those things out and ask yourself questions about where these biases came from, what is the root issue of it, and try to find some sort of resolution to that, because it really isn't about how you feel about other people and being able to work with other people and being able to, maintain certain relationships with other people. But it's really about the relationship that you have with yourself. Like, what are the aspects of yourself? And so this is going to be calling for you to do some shadow work, and really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty of the biases that you have against others. And the thing about that's interesting is, I don't think anybody wants to be in a situation or a position where they feel like they're hated just simply because of who they are. I feel like at this point in our world, and in this time that we're living in this space that we're living in, that is like a really major thing that's happening in the world, is people are trying to, it's like this whole idea of being down with the patriarchy, but the root of that is not allowing other people to live in the truth that they have or to be outward about who they are, but and disliking that. And the essence of that is there's aspects of yourself that you see there that you don't necessarily like about yourself. If someone is living out loud, is it because you feel some type of way about the fact that you don't feel that free, and so you don't like the fact that they are able to live that freely because it prohibits you from being free. These are just ideas to think about this month and how this plays out in your life. Some of the questions that you should ask is, are you about to make a choice that would positively influence your entire life, or are you blindly following what feels good right now? Have you considered the big picture? Are you denying an opportunity to unify with others for superficial or negatively discriminatory reasons? Are you truly comfortable with the different aspects of yourself? Are you looking for someone or something else to complete you? And are you merely pretending to be unified with others? What are the long-term consequences of your masquerade? The first action card is a cool action. Like I said, this is an internal kind of like a thinking type process. And so the card that comes out for you guys this month is submission. And this card is basically saying to yield to whatever you choose, or yield to whatever you consider to be the superior force or forces over the matter. In this question, this will not be an act of weakness, but one of strength. So stripping away the outside layers of yourself and really digging deep into like your shadow work isn't a sign of weakness, right? It is really an act of strength to be able to look at yourself objectively and to look at yourself without a filter, and to be able to say, like, this is who I am. These are the thought patterns I have. These are the things that, are ugly about me, and be able to kind of really look at them and see them and kind of investigate where they come from, and really work on kind of, healing those aspects of yourself as you go along. And so that's kind of like where we're at for the end of the year, which brings us to the hot action card, which is the nurturing card. And this card has come up a lot during these past couple of readings that I've been doing. And it really has this amazing line that says, that which you feed will continue to sit at your table. And so in this particular card, it's talking about the symbology in this particular card, which is the coin in the mouth, was a ritual done by the Greeks and the Romans and in the Levant to ensure that the recently deceased gained safe passage to the underworld. Not unlike today, the care by which a family conducted funerary arrangements of a relative, what was said about the deceased at the service, and who was or was not in attendance often reflected the conduct of the decedent. The butterfly represents rebirth. As the ancients believe in some form of afterlife, the pleasantries or discomforts of which were also determined by a person's conduct when they walked upon the earth. This card represents constant awareness of who and what we feed with our attention. And so this, again, is, I think, the main symbol for you guys, Aries, is the idea of rebirth, of coming out of, like I said, of this period of looking at your shadow self and kind of like reinventing and rebirthing yourself in a way that is conducive to something that you feel better about. Because at the end, like, when we think about it, you want to live a life that you feel proud of, without biases, without mistreating anyone else, without being discriminatory towards other people, with no factual basis. And so this is really an opportunity to heal those aspects of yourself and to kind of like nurture yourself, kind of feed yourself in the way where you're able to take away and strip away the things that are not a part of who you want to be or how you want to show up in this world, and actually feed and nurture the elements of yourself that you like and that you want to be represented outside in the world, right? When you see this card, you are really being encouraged to nurture only the qualities, the circumstances, and the people that you want to see perpetually appear in your life. So we're not focusing on the things that we don't like, because that is, in essence, an extension of the things that we don't like about ourselves. So what we do is we feed the things that we want to see, the people that we want to see, and we do that by feeding ourselves and developing those aspects in ourselves so that they're reflected back to us by the people that we keep around us. This is a beautiful reading, and I hope that it helps you, right? The theme and the point of these cards is to receive, to reflect, to realize, accept, and put some action steps and measures into, changing and transforming ourselves and becoming more unified within ourselves. And I think this is a great space to start at the end of the year. Thank you for being here. Please like the video, share it with someone who you think can benefit from the message, comment, and let me know how this is working out in your life. And as always, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for post notifications. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.